I know that you struggle with getting stuck with your card making just like I do, because it happens to me on a regular basis, especially in the winter. I find that in the winter, I much more often get stuck or cannot figure out what I want to do or what I should do next, or I just lose my creative mojo. In the crafting world, I know we've all heard it referred to as losing your mojo. And basically it's just, you still want to create, but you just are stuck. So this video is going to tell you 4 tried and true ways that I have used over the last decade plus of card making to get me unstuck. I hope it helps you too. Tip number 1 is to use Pinterest or YouTube. I mean, here's the thing. Anytime I'm stuck for anything, exercise, recipes, card making, coloring ideas, you name it, I can rely on Pinterest and or YouTube to get me unstuck. Honestly, this is my number 1 weapon. The first place I go when I'm really struggling for an idea is to go to Pinterest, because there's just endless ideas. Here, I'm even scrolling through and looking at my old Pinterest stuff. This is stuff I've created in the past, and you never know when something is going to jog a memory or give you a new idea or a spin on something new. And I just find that it's one of the most valuable resources that we can have. You can also type in things like card sketches or card making sketch ideas, and you will be brought to a ton of cool card making ideas. And then you just cut the paper. Mojo Monday is one of my favorites because they actually give you the sizes of the paper as well. And then it's almost like you're not even having to think about it, and you can go on to autopilot and just create and have fun. So there's lots of cool ways to, look at and get ideas. YouTube is another great resource. Obviously, you're watching a YouTube video right now, hopefully still. And with YouTube, there's always a ton of ideas of how you can create or do something amazing. So number 1 tip for me to get unstuck above everything else is always going to Pinterest and or YouTube to find new, fresh ideas, or even look at old ideas and jog my memory of something maybe I thought of in the past or something I want to try again. And generally speaking, it gets me unstuck. This is particularly great around holidays. So here I've typed in Valentine's handmade cards, and you can see there's tons of ideas for me to pull from. So this is a great tip to get you unstuck. Number 2 is classes. This has been a tried and true trick for me forever. I have always taken classes because I believe that we're always still learning and growing in our creativity. I think anybody who comes to a place who says, I know it all, I've seen it all, I've learned it all, they're probably not growing in their creativity. I know when I look at the cards that I made from the very beginning, I'll pop it right here, compared to the cards I make today, it is a vast difference. So take a class. In fact, shameless plug, I have a class coming out on February 8th. It's a mega fun fold class. This class has over 15 fun folds. It is phenomenal. It will knock your socks off with all the fun folds that we're gonna make. And we have samples. The class is $45, and when you sign up, you get to choose a free PDF off of my website. All you have to do is email me and I'll get you hooked up with that. There's a link below this video for the sign up for the Mega Fun Fold class. It's awesome. It's all online. It's go at your own pace. There's a login. You'll have access to it forever. There's going to be a full printable PDF. There are multiple videos for each card. Telling you, it's a fantastic value for $45. So that's US. But if you're not in the US, you can still sign up for it and get it anywhere you are in the world. So if you have taken classes in the past, great. Go back and access some of those old classes. I know I've taken classes from Sandy Allnock, Altanu, Christina Werner, Jennifer McGuire. Am I name dropping? I'm not. I am just saying I've taken classes with all of these people. I've done retreats and stuff like that so that I continue to feed my crafty soul, because that's what really makes us better and better and better at card making or whatever our chosen paper craft is. So that's tip number 2. Do some classes. Tip number 3 is to use an idea book or a sketchbook. Now, I just want to make note really quick of the shirt I am wearing. I hope nobody gets offended, but I didn't feel like changing my shirt for this video, and I got this as a gift from somebody, and I just have to say, I'm not a big fan of winter. If you've been around here for any length of time, you know that. So a friend got me this shirt in support of my winter struggles. But using an idea book or a sketchbook is a great way to get your ideas on paper that you might have in your head, or have a place to reference back to old ideas that you've used in the past. Also, this is something that sometimes when I'm laying in bed or I'm watching TV, I might have an idea for a card that will pop in my head. And so I try to always keep a sketchbook on hand nearby so that I can write my ideas down or sketch out my ideas. And you don't have to be an artist of any kind to do this. Trust me, because I am not. I can't draw to save my life, but I can sketch basic shapes. And that's all I'm doing here. I'm just sketching out a rough idea of something that I think would look nice that I could create a card with later. I can always add fun fold ideas into it. I could always, do something a little bit different somewhere else down the line. But it's just kind of a jumping off place. It's a spot that gives me some ideas to work from. The other thing I do is I sit and I write out ideas for the card itself. So there I was writing that I would want this to be embossed in the background and then maybe splattered with ink. And then I wrote out where I would want my sentiment. And I'm just going through and kind of creating some different ideas and thoughts about what it is exactly that I would want this card to consist of. Now, I do this on a fairly regular basis, so when I am stuck or struggling for an idea, this is another resource for me. I can pull out an idea book that I have or a sketchbook and share my idea with myself. So it's like when I was creative and had a bunch of ideas, now I have them to go back to. Tip number 4 is to go back to basics. One of the things that I think we can get really caught up in is doing a bunch of different stuff or having too much product and we get overwhelmed, or too many options. So I have some go-to techniques that I can always go back to. The other thing you can do, like we talked about earlier, looking on Pinterest, is card sketches. Sometimes that kind of is included in back to basics. But when I'm referring to back to basics, I'm actually thinking more about a technique. There's one technique that I really love doing that always gets me out of a rut and always gets me back into my mojo. And I'm going to show you what it is. Okay, this is one of my go-to techniques. I grab watercolor paper. This is Arches cold press watercolor paper. I've cut it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm grabbing a craft mat, and I'm using 3 inks that I know will go well together. So this one is, these are Tim Holtz Distress inks. I'm using Squeezed Lemonade, Candied Apple, and Pumpkin something. And then I just spritz it with water, dab the watercolor paper right into it, and it is always going to give you a beautiful background. Now, you do kind of need to know your colors for this technique, but it's a fun technique and it never fails. So I let this dry a little bit, and then I die cut it out using one of Stampin' Up's dies, and I cut all apart, and I measured out to see how big of a piece of cardstock I need to layer all this on top of. I then glued down all these bits and pieces. Now, let me say, this part of the video or what I'm showing you is just what I'm doing with the technique. My go-to technique to kind of get my mojo going is the stamp or what do they call it? Ink smushing technique. I have found that this always inspires me to create. So all the rest of this is just what I got inspired to do after making that fun ink smushed background. So make sure you pick colors that go well together, do a little ink smushing with some watercolor paper, die cut a shape out, and put a sentiment on it on a card. That's literally all I did. And you would not believe how much I wanted to keep going. I was really wanting to keep creating, but I had to stop myself so I could finish this video for you. So it is one of those techniques. The reason I like it is because it's different every time, even though you could use the exact same 3 colors every time and every piece is going to turn out different and unique. And the other thing that I love about this technique is it's kind of addictive. So it makes you want to, it makes you want to keep trying. It makes you want to keep trying different color combos. It makes you want to keep ink smushing. So you just get to where it's like, oh, I could just do this all day long. So then all I did was assemble this card with very simple steps. And that's something else. That's a bonus tip. Something else I do to keep my creative mojo or get it back is I keep things really, really simple. So on this, I did a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of black cardstock layered with a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 that is just black and white. That's all we're using here on a card base. And then I'm going to put that circle kind of in the middle of this card up at the top and put a sentiment on it. And we're going to add some sequins and this card will be done. And so I've created a really cool, unique focal piece that you're not going to see anywhere else because it's got all the cool ink smushing on it. And then you are going to have something unique. Here I just had stamped and white heat embossed as sentiment, and then I'm die cutting it. And that was super easy, right? We all know how to do that. So this just card is going to say birthday wishes, and I'm going to glue it down in the middle of this circle, and then I'll just add the sequins and this card will almost be finished. Here I'm using my precision glue press. I love this thing. It is fantastic for card making. If you don't have one, I'll link to it below so you can pick one up. I am an affiliate with My Sweet Petunia, so sorry about that. So it is an affiliate link, but it doesn't cost you anything extra to use it. Here I'm grabbing some sequins. I got these honeybee sequins some time back. I actually think that they might have been a free gift with an order. I don't remember if I ordered them or not. And then I was just going to add a few sequins on this card. That is another go-to tip for me, is sequins make everything better. If you struggle with winter blues like me, try creating with bright, fun colors and always use sequins because they are the best. So here we have our finished card. Ooh, let me get it focused for you. There we go. Isn't that fun? You have some tips on how to keep you from getting stuck when you're crafting. If you get stuck or you're not crafting because you're stuck, you've lost your mojo, try these simple tricks to kind of get you unstuck and get your creative juices flowing again. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye. Thanks again for watching this video, and if you want to sign up for my Mega Fun Fold class, there is a link below this video to sign up anytime. Have a wonderful day.